All right, I just attached the top and bottom and trimmed them to size. And now, let me give you a look at what I'm looking at here. We still have some stuff to clean up, but we want to cut the top before the clay gets too hard. And so I'm gonna put off cleaning all this stuff till later. And if you were going to wrap this up, 'cause that last one took 36 minutes. So let's say you're in first period and you don't have time to go any further, you would just wrap I would just wrap up the sides and leave this uncovered, or not uncovered, but just not no damp paper towel on it, because if it gets too wet it'll slump in. And also you could do this, one way to keep it from slumping in is to turn it upside down. So it's, you still don't want the bottom to slump in, but if that slumps in, it's not as bad as if the top does. So you could do that too. All right, but right now we're gonna cut the top, and get this out of the way. So to do that, we need the needle. And you know what? I keep cleaning my needle off on this paper towel, but I have one of these. It's just a little cleaning. Oh, it's for cleaning the clay and or your tools, but it's not for cleaning the table. It's not for scrubbing your tools down, because one of these sponges costs as much as one of the great big sponges, and these fall apart much faster. So if you do use these, use it sparingly. Again, don't wash your tools with it. Don't scrub the table with it. It's just for light duty use. All right, so I need a needle, and in the classroom we have flexible rulers. This is a metal ruler, so it's not that flexible. It's actually not very flexible at all, but that's all I have over here. And I actually don't need a ruler for this, but I'll show you how we're going to use the ruler. So looking at the side, I want to decide where's a good place to cut the top. And I'd recommend somewhere between a quarter of the way down and a third of the way down. And this one happens to be 13 centimeters. Half of 13 is like 6.5. Let's see, a quarter, let's say it's a quarter of 12 is 3. So a quarter of 13 would be 3.25. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, maybe somewhere around here. And you just need to know where to make the mark. And so somewhere around like the 9.5 centimeter mark. And what's important is where the mark is, not the exact measurement. And so I want it about there, but it's easy since I'm using my right hand, it's easier to, can you see that I'm just going by marks now, about that 2.25 mark. I think I'll use that one since it's on this side. And so I just make a mark there. And let's see, it's hard to do. In a second, I'm going to switch to working with this on the table. So again, I have the bottom flush with the bottom of the ruler, 2.25. Right now I'm just making a lot of marks. And so I'm going to do that all down here where I can more easily work. Just making a mark every inch or so. I'm making more in this area here because I'm going to need to connect all of them in a little bit. just gonna go around and double check. Some of these are, they're all pretty good. That one right there was a little bit off. So let me just show you what I did. I made just marks all the way around where I'm gonna cut the top. Then in the classroom, your rulers will be flexible, so you can bend it to connect all these dots. My ruler isn't flexible, but I have this. This is something I found around the house. This piece of, it like held a package together. So let me see if this is strong enough to stay on its side. I'm mostly turning this on the side so that you can see what I'm doing. But if you'd rather work with it flat on its bottom, then you can do that too. So I'm going to connect these dots, and it's pretty close. That one's a little bit high, but all I need to do is make a constant line. Okay, so I'm just gonna use this piece of plastic as my guide, or my straight edge. And remember I said that we were gonna cut the top in at an angle, but right now I'm just making a line. I'm not really making a cut so much, and so I'm making it just straight across for now. All right, now I'm just making a line. I'm not cutting in much at all. All right. Being very careful with this. Let's see. This sponge isn't really wet, so I'm going to use it over here to hold it up so you can see. And just make sure that line will line up. If this line isn't good, then I can always just like erase it and start again. Let's check. It's just a little bit off there, but I can kind of make this one a little bit higher, this one a little bit lower, so they meet at the same point. Okay, then I need to finish the line over here. Make sure it meets that line on this side. All right, so I have my line going all the way around. Let's see. Again. I need to make that one just a little bit lower. I'm gonna sort of erase it. See, I kind of erased it. And I'm gonna make the mark where it needs to be so I can see it over here. Down here. All right, so I got that. Now, now I just have the line, and I'm going to go over it just straight and just make one pass that goes straight into it again. And then after that, after I establish a groove, then I can put my needle up at an angle instead of straight in, up at an angle, so that I get, remember this bevel here that we want to cut so that the lid will stay on instead of fall right off. And when I drag the needle through to get that groove, I'm going to hold it at a really steep angle so that the needle can the side of the needle can get into that groove a little bit easier. I'm going to do it down here where I don't have to hold it. Let's hold it at an angle, so get in that groove. And establish a deeper groove. And I'll just lightly go through it again. A nice groove will keep our needle in place when we're cutting the bevel. All right, so I've got a little bit more established groove. Now I'm going to hold it at the angle to make that bevel. So I have my needle at an angle. So I have an angle up here, and I'm going to have it at an angle here, so again I can kind of stay in that groove. can feel that I've gotten through on some parts, but not quite on other parts. Like here at the end, I can feel I'm not quite through. I think I'm through now. Not through over here, I can feel it. Let's see. Maybe it'll help to be on its side because the weight of the top might be kind of preventing it from coming off a little bit. I don't need this anymore. Getting there. Oops. There we go. All right, and as you can see, that slip is still in there from when we attached the top. So we got to clean that up. You can kind of use these sponges, kind of dab. If I got this a little bit damp, but the problem if you just keep wiping with one of these little sponges is that you wipe away all the really fine particles and you leave behind all the really rough ones. So you're left with these rough spots where you rub too much with this sponge. Let me get this a little bit wet. And you can kind of dab with it. Maybe it's not working so well for this in this case, but just maybe if you did the outside, like people want to like see how it's rough there, they want to just rub it with this sponge, and it seems to kind of work. But then, like I said, they rub away all the really fine particles and leave behind the rough ones, and you're left with a rough patch. All right, so now we're left to clean up all these jagged stuff here, and let's see, we're almost 23 minutes in. I like to use the good knife to do that. Let me go clean this off. So the next part is just the cleanup part, and I'll make another video for that. I'll start up in just a second. All right, so this one took 23.5 minutes. Again, if you're going to, if they were going to stop here, it's good to keep the top and the bottom together, because in case they dries a little bit, you want them to dry together, set the same rate. And again, you'd use a wet paper towel and mostly just do the sides that you need to keep a little bit damp. All right, I'll be right back.